Imagine waking up to headlines that one of America's closest NATO allies has just rejected US weapons in favor of Europe's biggest defense deal in history. Not a minor shift, not a symbolic gesture, but a $9.1 billion break from Washington's grip on the alliance. And here's the shocking part: this isn't France, or Germany, or even Turkey, countries that have often questioned US leadership. This time, it's Denmark, one of the most loyal partners the United States has ever had. Why would Denmark, a founding member of NATO and a country that has relied on US defense systems for decades, suddenly decide that America is too risky? And how much of this shift traces back to one man, Donald Trump, and his renewed obsession with buying Greenland? Stay with me, because this isn't just about Denmark. This could be the moment NATO begins to fracture from within. The hook here is explosive. While Washington is consumed with the political fallout from the assassination of activist Charlie Kirk, an event that has gripped US media, sparked protests, and thrown Trump's administration into turmoil, Denmark is quietly pulling away. Allies abroad are watching the chaos in Washington and drawing their own conclusions. And Denmark's conclusion is clear: America is no longer reliable. But let's rewind, because Denmark didn't wake up one morning and decide to walk away from US weapons. This story begins with Greenland, a territory at the center of Trump's bizarre ambitions. You probably remember the moment back in 2019 when Trump floated the idea of buying Greenland. The world laughed, politicians shook their heads, and Denmark's prime minister called it absurd. Fast forward to 2025, and Trump brings the idea back, but this time with an edge that was anything but funny. He suggested the US could use pressure, even economic or military, if Denmark refused. Think about that. A NATO ally, openly threatening another ally over buying territory. Denmark's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, didn't mince words. On a solidarity trip to Greenland, she declared, "You cannot annex another country. Greenland is not for sale." Greenlandic leaders backed her up, warning that US rhetoric was a direct threat to sovereignty. Suddenly, a ridiculous idea had turned into a geopolitical flashpoint. The tension didn't fade, it escalated. Denmark's parliament passed legislation allowing US bases to remain, but adding a safeguard clause: if Washington ever attempted to annex Greenland, the agreement would be immediately terminated. Imagine the symbolism: legislating a trapdoor against your closest ally. By summer 2025, things got worse. Reports surfaced that US citizens tied to Trump allies were running covert influence campaigns inside Greenland, pushing secessionist sentiment. Denmark's foreign minister hauled in the top US diplomat to demand answers. Washington tried to downplay it, claiming these were just private actors. But the damage was done. Trust had cracked. For Denmark, America was no longer just a protector, it was becoming a risk. And that risk drove the biggest defense decision in Denmark's modern history. Just weeks ago, Copenhagen announced a defense procurement worth 58 billion kroner, about $9.1 billion. On paper, it's about upgrading missile and air defense systems. But look closer and you'll see the political earthquake. Denmark is not buying American Patriots. It's not deepening the F-35 pipeline. Instead, it's buying European. Specifically, the Franco-Italian SAMP or TNG system built by Eurosam, paired with medium-range systems like VL Mica and IRIS-T. For the first time in decades, Copenhagen is building its shield without Washington. And the message is unmistakable: under Donald Trump, America is no longer trusted. Let's put the scale into perspective. This is the largest defense deal Denmark has ever made. 8 full air defense systems, including 4 long-range and 4 medium-range batteries. Each one with radar, launchers, and interceptors designed to counter aircraft, cruise missiles, and even certain ballistic threats. The SAMP or TNG is no downgrade compared to America's Patriot system. In fact, it's faster to deploy, cheaper to maintain, and entirely independent of US software and supply chains. We are talking 360-degree radar coverage, Mach 4.5 interceptors, and engagement ranges up to 150 kilometers. Denmark isn't just buying missiles, it's buying independence. And this decision didn't happen in a vacuum. Earlier this year, Denmark also unveiled a $2 billion Arctic defense package. That included new naval ships, fleets of surveillance drones, and satellites to watch over Greenland and the Arctic. Officially, it was modernization. But unofficially, it was a response to Trump's Greenland gambit. Denmark was sending a clear message: the Arctic belongs to Copenhagen and Nuuk, not Washington. Now, step back and see the bigger picture. Denmark is not alone. Across NATO, allies are whispering the same concerns. Canada is rethinking its $19 billion purchase of F-35s, with Prime Minister Mark Carney openly questioning whether locking into US systems makes sense in an age of tariff threats and unpredictable policies. Portugal has hinted at shifting procurement to European options. Even Germany, which relies heavily on US defense, is weighing whether European systems could provide more stability in the long run. The pattern is unmistakable. Trump's volatility isn't just straining diplomacy, it's bleeding into the hardware that underpins NATO itself. So what does this mean for the alliance? For 76 years, NATO has relied on the US as its backbone. American jets, American logistics, American command structures. But when allies begin to doubt whether Washington is a protector or a destabilizer, the entire structure starts to wobble. Denmark's $9.1 billion deal is more than procurement, it's insurance against America itself. Insurance against tariffs creeping into defense contracts. Insurance against Washington cutting off parts or updates in retaliation for political defiance. Insurance against an ally who talks openly about annexing your territory. And here's the twist that makes this story even more dramatic. Even as Trump pressures allies to confront China with tariffs of 50 to 100%, his own administration has been quietly negotiating with Beijing. Trade talks in Madrid, deals on rare earths, and tariff truces show that Washington's rhetoric isn't always aligned with its actions. For allies, that's not leadership, it's confusion. And when the world's biggest military alliance runs on trust, confusion is deadly. So we are left with questions that go beyond Denmark. If one of America's most loyal allies feels the need to hedge against Washington, who's next? If European defense systems can replace US ones, what does NATO look like in 10 years? And if Trump continues to blur the line between protecting allies and pressuring them, will we see a NATO where America isn't the cornerstone, but the question mark? The Denmark deal is more than procurement, it's a pivot. A pivot away from unquestioned US leadership toward a Europe that wants more control over its own defense destiny. Some will call it betrayal. Others will call it survival. But one thing is clear, the shockwaves from Trump's Greenland gambit and Denmark's $9.1 billion decision will echo across NATO for years to come. And now I'll turn it over to you. Do you think Denmark is right to hedge against the US? Or is this the start of NATO unraveling from the inside? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, I'll be reading. Before you go, remember this: independent voices like this one survive because of you. If you want more deep dives into the stories corporate media won't tell you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with friends who care about where the world is heading. Every click, every comment, every share keeps this channel alive. And one last thing, keep watching, because the cracks we are seeing in NATO today may be tomorrow's headlines about a divided alliance. You don't want to miss what comes next.